I'm gonna wait for some people to join here. Going to work, huh? Wow, hey, Jess, hey, Mula. What's up, little man? Hey. I'm doing a little bit better. I got a cold, that's all. Some of us men are big babies when we got a cold. Hey, really, did you ever get the mail I sent? I never heard from you. Hey, Jessica. Hey, Ra. Hey, really. Maybe it's not the same person. Did you ever send me your address? Well, maybe it's not the same person then. Are you on my Patreon? I get confused with so many names. I'm sorry. I get like dozens of emails a day and stuff, so maybe it's not the same person. So it's I have a lot of people that contact me, so it's hard to remember everybody. Of course, I remember my net of my close little net of people I have, but I know your name from the chat and everything. I remember you from always being in the chat here. I wasn't sure if you're on my Patreon or not. But oh yeah, so I didn't send you an email then. It was the wrong person. My fault. Yeah, so if you just joined Patreon, we're going to be starting our weekly chats again soon, and I'm going to be starting my shaman class again soon. It's just I have to, well, first of all, I got to get a little bit better. I'm a little sick, but there was a few weeks where it was pretty rough over here. A lot of stuff going on at home, and death is in the family and different things going on, so we were pretty busy for a few weeks. And my daughter's just starting to talk and run around like crazy, so it's been real hectic. But we got some interesting things to talk about real quick before I go back home, and I'm out getting like cough drops and stuff like that. I got to come out and get some stuff. But I thought it would be pretty cool to do a little quick chat. As long as I'm okay later, we're going to do a live stream, so as long as I don't fall asleep. But it's going to be strictly for my patrons. It won't be on here. It'll be on Zoom. There's a few things I wanted to reveal with Japanese anime like we did once before. Because we're going to be seeing a lot of interesting things. Of course, I brought up a theory this morning that I've been feeling is kind of true. And I know Laureen was in the chat room, and she said that there's another person out there. I don't know if the person's a psychic or just a researcher or whatever, that said similar things to I was saying. And that's that possibly we've been put in some sort of time loop. All right. Of course, I can't describe the physics right now on here. Maybe I could do it a little bit better with some of my research notes at home. But first of all, let's rewind a little bit. Now, going back into more recent modern history, like the last 100, 200 years, Aleister Crowley performed a ritual to open a doorway. And this doorway, he did on a smaller scale. And the time loop I'm talking about is possibly in 2012 was supposed to be a big shift for us, right? And of course nothing happened, right? Of course things did start to shift in other ways, but it's a quite possibility that our timeline was manipulated and we were put into some sort of time loop, an alternate reality. And now in 2020 we're actually coming up to 2012 now, and I've been discussing that, and I've been thinking about that, and I've been meditating on that for a little while, and for me, I feel like that's possibly more than likely true. Now, Aleister Crowley, if you guys aren't familiar with some of his workings and the workings of Kenneth Grant, one of his followers, and the society that is dedicated to the cult of Lam. Now, Lam in Tibetan means the way, and Lam was a very similar being that looked like a gray alien, or some sort of interdimensional gray. And Aleister Crowley, along with a being called Aiwass, was channeling and opened a doorway that is related to Sirius, the Sirius system, where this is where souls are downloaded from. And the Egyptian pyramids, a lot of these monuments have to do with the activation of Sirius and the communication with beings from this dimension. And Aleister Crowley did it on a smaller scale and was able to close the hole that he had opened, the doorway that he had opened. Now, fast forward a few years to the workings of Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard, who I've had astral visits from. At least I know L. Ron Hubbard I've had in my dream time before when I was younger. Now, L. Ron Hubbard and Jack Parsons not only were doing some of the rituals that they learned from Aleister Crowley, but they did it on a larger scale. And not just in California, where Area 51 is now, is where they conducted, I feel. And I think other researchers have said this before, and it might be even fact. I'm not sure if I even read it before somewhere else. But I think where Area 51 is now is where they opened the rip in space-time on a larger scale than Aleister Crowley ever did. And they could not close it properly. And this is why the government built a compound right there, because there is literally a tear in space-time. And they have activity coming in and out on that, not just facility, that location. And there are various facilities on our planet, compounds on our planet, in the States here as well, that are connected to this loop. And Brookhaven Labs is one of them. And I've had a lot of different, I wouldn't want to say battles or encounters, but I've had a lot of different things that happened in my life that led me to the front door of Brookhaven Labs. And this is not something that most people talk about. Of course, if you look into the Montauk Project and Camp Hero, things like this, you will find even the Stranger Things, which I did see season 1. I don't have Netflix or anything like that anymore. It's been a long time. But I have a friend, Christopher Garitano. I've interviewed him a few times before on my shows. He's a fellow New Yorker here as well. He also has a show on the History Channel and stuff like that. He's kind of veered off to the mainstream now. Spent a good 10 years of his life researching the Montauk Project and Camp Hero. And so most likely the experiments and the lab that they're talking about in Stranger Things is a copy of Brookhaven Labs and other facilities like that. And of course, Brookhaven Labs is built right on top of a military compound, an old military compound, just like where the Montauk Project in Long Island and Brookhaven Labs is in Long Island as well. It was basically built right on top, right underneath of Camp Hero, the Montauk Project. And just like that in Camp Hero, Brookhaven Labs has extensive underground facilities. And they have some sort of open portal there, some sort of otherworldly dimension that is networked in other places of our planet. And we're going to be talking about this in more detail. I'm going to also be talking about this with Leo Zagami, my buddy Leo. And there are things that are going to be returning to this planet in 2020 on a larger scale than that it's already seeing. And I'm talking about, and I'm not all doom and gloom here, because believe me, I'm an optimist in many, many ways. I'm a soldier. I always fight for the good. I always believe that the good triumphs, you know. But I'm not a new ager that's all love and light and going to be being like, oh, everything's, because that's not the case. We're going to be seeing plagues and famine. We're going to be seeing a return of things like this. And one of them is going to be cannibalism. We're going to be forced to bring ourselves into an artificial intelligence existence completely, where we're uploaded into a system. And it was going to be where the only way we're going to be able to save ourselves is to give ourselves into this cyber world. And it's completely coming over us. And I've talked glimpses of this in dream time. In fact, I'm going to be going into detail about the Scythians and various cultures that these practices will be returning. And there is going to be things coming out of these portals that are going to decimate the population. It's already happening. And there were civilizations that were chased off of our world because of these plagues and viruses that came from other dimensions. And like I was saying this morning, never accept anything in dream time, anything to drink, eat, nothing. Even you can go back in mythology, you could go back in family lore. Thank you, totally. I mean, thoughts and perceptions out loud. Definitely join my Patreon, especially if you want to join the Zoom chat tonight or tomorrow night. Most likely, I'm going to try to do it tonight because I don't want to just go home and lay down, man. I feel I want to do some things, and I can't really be around the baby right now because I'm sick. But on my Patreon today, I posted an aerial view of Brookhaven Labs, and I was talking a little bit about it. This is a very interesting and controversial information, and they're using Atlantean technology mixed with this new replicator version, ancient technology mixed with a new form of it, and it's taking over who we are. It's totally rewiring our brains and everything. It controls our I'm trying to read. Yeah, I mean, there's no preparation you can do. What's up, Zaralath? There's no preparation you could do for this, especially if you start stockpiling food and this and that. Stockpiling food ain't gonna help if a wall of water comes over you, or if a plague decimates the area, or even if you stockpile food, how long is it gonna last you? A couple of weeks, a month? Then what are you gonna do? So it's not about unless you can live underground for long periods and you have a whole underground facility. It's not going to help by stockpiling a few weeks, a few months of food. This is not going to work, and there's most likely a strong possibility that in 2020 we are going to be entering 2012, that we are in some sort of time loop and time manipulation. So definitely stick around tonight, everybody. We're going to be going deep down into it, and yeah, thoughts and perceptions out loud. There's a few of us out there, but once you see, to me, it's not research. It's reality. I've witnessed these things. I've seen these things. I've been kidnapped by the military. All right, they forcibly were trying to take my blood, and this is not something that I joke around with. This happened to me almost 20 years ago now, when it first happened to me, and I feel like I was tagged as a child, and many other people were tagged as a child. And we were watched, in some sort of way. And I broke free from a lot of these chains years ago. And we are all, and the elites of the world, they have a lot of information that they are not giving us and there's no way anybody that is in our world is ever gonna. Most normal people, if you want to say normies, they're never going to even swallow half of this information, or even chew on it for a second. They'll just dismiss it. Oh my God, that guy's crazy. Or, oh my God, what are they talking about? You know? Well, if you have spent as much time as I have, involved in these topics and reading about them and experiencing them. Now, I had an experience with Brookhaven Labs a couple years back where I was literally pulled out of my bed astrally. Like, I was in bed and I couldn't breathe, I couldn't scream. I tried to scream for help, I couldn't even get the words out of my mouth. I couldn't get up out of bed. Like, a force was keeping my chest on the bed. And I felt I saw and felt my astral body getting pulled out of myself. Like, literally getting pulled out of myself. And I could actually see myself leaving myself. Like, like it was like my soul was being pulled out of my body. And then I fought it off. I had to shake my head and fight it off. And I got sucked back in, and it was like something was pulling me. And then when I finally went to sleep that night, I was standing in front of Brookhaven Labs in my dream. Standing in front of this place, and I was huffing and puffing like I was a beast, like, like I had claws too, like I was like transformed into something. So there was some deep experiments going on there, intense things going on, like even like Jessica was just saying to me, Jessica Tonsfeld in the chat room, she was just messaging me before, that this morning when I was talking about my experiences, that she felt like it might be related to the Ebola virus or the tribes going on there, and the blue-green eyes that I saw. And that's a strong possibility, because things like Ebola, this is what I'm talking about. And this is like zombie outbreaks. Even though they're not walking dead people, there's going to be, once you eat the human flesh, you crave it, you're mad for it. And then if you eat the human flesh of somebody who's already contaminated, you become contaminated like that. Zombie-like, and there are various tribes on this planet that are already, various people that are on this planet that are already resorting to cannibalism. And if there's famine on this country to a higher degree, and if there's a lack of food and water to a higher degree than it already is now, people will resort to cannibalism. It's a known fact. You put 20 people in the wilderness, in an icy environment, or something like this, and you don't give them any food, you wait a week or two, you wait a few weeks, wait a month even, and if people aren't already eating each other, they will. So this is what it's going to come down to on our planet, and it's a horrible topic to talk about, but definitely I'm planning on doing like a review of some anime tonight, and we'll go into it deep. I wanted to talk about a few animes that mix in artificial intelligence with DNA, genetics. So we're going to be going to that tonight as well. And thank you everybody for tuning in. Spiral out.